Happy Monday. If you're watching on replay, tell me in the comments, #replay. Just waiting for a few things to get set up here. Oh, it looks like I cut my head off. Hang on. There we go. All right. If you're watching either on YouTube or on Facebook, tell me hi. Tell me what you're working on. Hi, Holly. Happy pre-4th. Let me know if you can hear me okay. Said my earbuds were connected, but I want to make sure. Hey, Melissa says yes. Hi, Shar. Wasn't sure how many people I was going to see today because it is kind of it's a weird holiday this year with the 4th being on a Tuesday. And let's see, Joyce. Hi, Vicki. Taking on a bit. Rosewood sweater, lemon spritz, surprise project. Stephen West sock along. Oh my gosh, Joyce, you have your hands in all the things. Linda's on YouTube. Awesome. Hi. So if you are working on your lemon spritz, tell me how far you've gotten. Tell me what you think about it so far. I'm curious to hear how it's going. I want to encourage people not to get discouraged. If you are, only this far, that's okay. It's more about just a fun project and having a good time, I think. So how did everybody's weekend go? For those of you who are still in the workforce, did you have to work today and you get tomorrow off? Or were you able to take a long weekend? We were up at the campground this weekend, but I decided to come back today to fight the crowds. John says only one day in on my 4-day. That's perfectly fine. We had a pretty good turnout here for the our little cast on gathering on Friday. I appreciate those of you who came out. I appreciate you coming out and joining us on a Friday evening. Okay, so welcome to Monday Motivation. Today is July 3rd, 2023. My name is Kristen. I am the owner of the Little Yarn Shop located in downtown Saginaw, Michigan, inside the SVRC Marketplace. Normal business hours for the shop and for the marketplace are Wednesday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. The yarn crawl's coming up and then our hours are going to be completely different. I cannot believe that is like 2.5 weeks away. We'll talk a little bit more about that too coming up. Hi, Jill. Round 28 after the join. Excellent. Sherry working on a baby sweater. Linda working on a Doral tee. I think it's funny when people say they don't knit in the summer. I don't know how they can't. I couldn't go a whole season without knitting. Just have to pick smaller projects. Although one of the secret projects I'm working on is a sweater and it's getting a little big to be having on my lap when it's 85 degrees outside. But I just have to do that when I'm sitting inside in the evenings or in the air conditioning. Yeah, Melissa wasn't able to knit for the last week because she sliced her thumb and so had a big old bandage on there. Probably made it difficult to type and work and also impossible to knit. So let's talk about a few things. What am I working on? I am working on a little sock arms sweater. Yes, Holly, I agree. The evening right now is nice to sit out in the shade. There's a little bit of a breeze. I was debating when I got back to the house if I was going to turn the air on, but I think it's going to cool down enough that I shouldn't have to do that. So look at how sweet this is. So the sock arms sweater, I did the adult version using yarn that is one of our custom yarns. I'm going to do the same thing with this. So I'm pretty proud of myself, you guys. I said I would try and get the adult version and the kids version done, and I might actually make it. The only little bit of a hesitation I have is that the sleeves are only going to be about that big around, which means I cannot use a 9-inch circular needle for that. I might have to bust out the flexi flips for that because it's tiny little sleeves in the round. This color is gorgeous. So this is Dreaming color, a smushy with cashmere. I just so happen to have a little bit left over from a project. The color is, I believe, Revenue Blue. Let me see if I have the tag. Yes, the color is Revenue Blue. So it's a fingering weight yarn, bottom up. So this is the size of the body of the little tiny sweater. It's just so sweet. I have a bit to go before I split for the front and the back, and then the sleeves are the last thing to be done. And I have, like I said, 2.5 weeks to get this done, get the other sweater done, and potentially have a sample done with yarn that I don't even have yet. So that is the little sock arms. I'm working on the rib lace raglan. Oh, my brain keeps wanting to say rib lace cardigan, but that's not right. I started it, I ripped it out, and I'm back to where I was because you guys, I didn't swatch. It was my own fault, but I don't have an excuse. I really don't have an excuse why I didn't swatch. I just thought I could jump right into it. I used the needle that the pattern called for, and it starts at the neck. I got a little bit less than this done, and I decided I would soak it, put it on purl strings, soak it, and kind of loosely block it and see what it does. And it was too small, like to the point where well, there we go. I can blame Melissa. I know, Brenda. Karen says swatch, and Deb does too. They tell people all the time to swatch. I didn't. So I ended up going up 2 needle sizes for this. And so it called for 5s. I'm on 7s, which is pretty unusual. So another reason to swatch, because just because you think you know what your gauge is, designers have different gauges. So it may be different. So I'm working with the Malabrigo Metamorphosis sock. I do not have this in stock yet. This is the sample that they gave me at the show. But it's a gradient cake. I'm starting with the lighter color in the middle, and I'll work toward the dark outside. And then I will do a dark, I'll transition to a solid dark brown. But let me make sure I don't lose my marker here. This is what I've gotten so far. And it is interesting because it seems like it's a little bit darker at the top and then gets lighter, and then it will get darker again. No, Facebook color looks pretty accurate. YouTube color is kind of blowing it out a little bit. But it's a beautiful gold. They're really, my YouTube camera makes it look like this is white. There's no white in there. It's just a pale yellow. The lace is a very simple 2-row repeat. The actual pattern part is a 14-row repeat, only because as you're doing your raglan increases, how you're starting a new repeat of the lace shifts a little bit, but really easy to follow. I wish I was further along on this, but it got set to the wayside for some of the other projects. So the other sweater, the one that I am feverishly working on right now that I can't show you, is called Lano, L-L-A-N-O. It is a pattern by Dawn Barker. Many of you may have heard of her or Barker Wools. I mentioned her name in the past because she's pretty much the one that came up with the method for dyeing the yarn. So it has the planned pooling where you get the little blips of a contrast color. So she has this pattern called Lano. It's a sweater that starts at one cuff and works its way across your body. So as far as one sleeve done, I'm across the front. I just rejoined the front and the back. So I'm working on the body. I'm about 2/3 of the way there, I would say. It's a fun knit. It's an easy knit. There is not a lot of shaping to it. So it's not a difficult one to follow. I just have to pay a little bit of attention. So when that contrast color comes up, I do the little stitch that it calls for. But I can't wait to show it to you guys. Maybe, I don't know if I'll have that one to show you next week. I'm trying to, Melissa had given me the idea that we have 3 weeks leading up to the yarn crawl, that maybe I should be starting to tease our custom yarns a little bit. So we're going to do a little bit of that tonight. Before I talk about that though, I wanted to see how many of you are working on the Great Lakes road trip mystery knit along. The first clue was sent out on the 1st, which was Saturday. Yes, Saturday. Linda switched over to Facebook. Yeah, I know, Linda. I wish I could make the comments go both places. One of these days I'll get to be a real professional and work on that a little bit more. So the road trip mystery knit along, the first leg went out on July 1st, and I perused through it a little bit to see kind of what the 2 different patterns were going to look like. I was looking at it on my phone, so I didn't get a real good picture of it, but it looks like it's fun. I know my mom was going to start it, but then realized she didn't have any beads, so I think she probably couldn't get too far. Jean, working on yours. Excellent. So Jean, I'm curious, did you go with, whose design did you go with for the first leg? Whether it was Cynthia's or the other person's, I can't remember what her name is. As I said at the beginning, before I kind of officially started, last Friday, we had a little gathering here for the Olive Knits 4-day summer sweater knit along. Valerie's, okay, good. And we had, more than a dozen, maybe 15, 18 people here for it, which was great to see. I appreciate everybody coming out. For those of you who are working on the Olive Knits sweater, or maybe you're not, but you have the yarn for it and plan to work on it in the future, I do have a few extra sets of stitch markers. Anybody who had signed up and paid the $5 to come on Friday got a set of these really cute stitch markers, and there are a few different varieties, but they come with 4 of, so the sets are $5. They come with 5 markers. So it's a little baggie of 4 of the small Cocoa Knits markers, which do go up to a size 7. So if you're on a 5 or a 6, they'll work. If you're on a 7, it's a little bit snug. Lisa and I were chatting about that, but it will work. Hi, Linda. So here is a sample of one of the little, my YouTube video won't pick it up. It's a tiny little drink with little fruits in there. And look at my nails. My nails match too. So there are a bunch that are different. There's a pink one, there's apple, there's an orange, there's a kiwi, there's passion fruit, there's pineapple. Each one of them have a different little fruit down in there. So if you are interested, we do have extras of those. I also have a few stitch stoppers, themed stitch stoppers as well. So I have 2 sets of orange slices. How cute they are. They're little like half, I don't know if you can see, they're like little half circles. It's like what I put out for my Oriole feeder today. And so I have 2 sets of those, and I have, I think, 5 sets left of the little lemons. Look, happy little lemons. Those are $8.50. So let us know if you want one of those set aside. Mercina doing Valerie's also. Ah, interesting. Hi, Aunt Jackie. So if you want to have, if you haven't started your olive knits sweater yet, the lemon spritz, and you want to accessorize your knitting, let us know. We can hook you up. Okay, so I wanted to mention the farmer's market outside in our parking lot is, as of today, now open on Mondays. So they are not part of the indoor market that we are housed in. They're completely separate, but they're right out in our parking lot. In July and August, maybe in September too, I'm not sure, but they add Monday hours too. So Mondays, Wednesdays, nope. Let me think about this. Yeah, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 10 to 3, and Saturday, 10 to 1, I believe. We're getting into prime time now. If you're local and you kind of want to get a heads up on what they have, if you follow the Downtown Saginaw Farmers Market Facebook page, they're usually pretty good about posting photos or a video of which vendors are there, what kind of produce or plants or many other things. There are soup mixes. There's somebody that does soaps and lotions. Lynn, good. Okay. Melissa took care of your question. So I think it's worth checking out. And of course, while you're always out in the farmer's market, come in and say hi to us too. So let's talk about the upcoming yarn crawls. The middle of the mitten yarn crawl starts July. You guys, one of these times I'll write it down. But I do actually have my calendar here and I can look at that, even though I don't, because I don't have my phone in front of me. July 20th through the 29th, I think. I just know I'm going to be here for a lot of days in a row. It does start July 20th, which is a Thursday. And the shop will be open every day through both yarn crawls because they overlap. So the middle of the mitten yarn crawl goes the 20th through the 29th. The Heartland Yarn Adventure starts July 28th and goes through August 6th. We will be open every day. Our hours are going to vary a little bit, but I will make sure that the events on Facebook are accurate, and I need to add the events to our shop website too, so those are accurate. I have, in addition to the custom yarns, I will have custom bags from Maybe Crafted. So if you were in the shop last year, I've had her as a trunk chauffeur a couple times, but last year during the yarn crawl, I hosted her items here. She makes these really cool, she calls them takeout bags. They have a big, thick seatbelt handle. And so we chose a fabric and she's doing custom bags for me, which I think is really fun and exciting. And so let's talk about my custom color. If you are local to Saginaw, when I tell you our inspiration for this year is the old gas station on Washington. A lot of people know what we're talking about, but just down the road, maybe a half a mile, stands a little building that is all graffitied up, but in a really cool way. It's the oldest standing gas station in Saginaw. It's not in operation, but it was built, look at my little note here, back in the 20s. And in 2011, some local people asked a local graffiti artist to paint it, and it's remained pretty much untouched, which I think is really cool. And I've driven by it a gazillion times before I really even realized what it was. So that building is the inspiration for this year's colors. So I put these little postcards together, and I'm hoping you can get a little bit of an idea of what it looks like. It's just the same building from different angles. It's got a Pegasus. It's got, well, depends on whether it's Facebook or YouTube. Sorry about that, you guys. My little YouTube one is not focusing in on it. Come on. It's just a really cool building with a lot of character. So the colors, blues, reds, yellows. And when I send those photos to dyers, I try not to give them much in the way of parameters, other than Brenda and Heather yarns are really known for their interesting self-striping sock yarn. So they are doing that for me, which is the yarn that I'm using for the sleeves of the sock arms sweaters. And I asked them to do a DK weight gradient for me also. So that's the one I'm going to talk about tonight. The yarn is 100% superwash. They call it an 8-ply, so they call it their octoply base. And it's 205 yards. In the skein, it looks like this. It's so fun to see how it looks different in different forms. One of the things I love about Brenda and Heather is that they put a little graphic on there of how the color progression changes. They do that with their self-striping sock yarn and their gradients. So this is a gradient. It's not going to repeat. It just starts with one color. And they sent me this fun little tube that shows how the color progresses. So it starts reds, oranges. My favorite part is these grays. Look at these grays. It's so cool. This little light to dark or dark to light, and then into different blues. So if you were to take that skein and knit a flat scarf, this is the look that you would get. But you know me, that's boring. I want something a little bit more fun than that. So there's a pattern called the Basket Weave Cowl by Susan Ashcroft. She's the designer that made the Happy Accident cowl that many of you have seen. It was one of my first custom colors that I did, and it's kind of a green to purple. We have it hanging up by the register, and that's what kind of gave me the idea of this. So I looked at, well, there we go, knit weave. My initial thought was that I was going to knit with this as one color and hold a solid or a tonal color with it for the contrast. I got about halfway through that when I was in Florida earlier this year and decided I wasn't crazy about the way it looked, because if I knit it to the size it called for, I wouldn't get through the progression of all the colors. And I really want to make sure that it gets fully utilized. So if you were somebody who wanted a cowl that was a little bit larger, this one's done flat and seamed, and it's easy enough to just keep going to make it larger. If you wanted it a little bit longer, you could easily do that with a contrast color yarn. So what I decided to do was, for my two colors, to knit from the inside and the outside as my two contrast colors. So I was working with both at the same time. And it's such a cool graphic look, you guys. Look at how neat this turned out. I get my knitting off my lap so you can really see it. I am so beyond thrilled with how this looks. The grays, you can really see the gray gradient in there. The blues, how the blue changes from light to dark. The red goes from dark to orange. I'm just so happy with it. So when the skeins are available, they will be available once the yarn crawl starts. If you want to be put on a wait list, we can do that for sure. They will be $35 a skein. And we named it Saginaw Standard. So it's the Standard Oil building is kind of what it's modeled after. So yeah, this has been tucked behind the counter for a while and I've wanted to show it to people. It's kind of like buying a gift that you know somebody's really gonna like and you don't want to wait to show it to them. Oh, thanks, Aunt Jackie. So I'm thrilled to be able to start giving people sneak peeks of the stuff. So one skein is all it took to do this cowl. Yes, yarn will be available starting July 20th. And because it is a custom, there is a limited amount. I'm sure we will reorder at some point, but just like the last couple of years, once the end of the year comes, we don't order that yarn anymore. So whatever we have is what we have. So we still have a few skeins of 2022's color, which was the Castle Museum colors. 2021 was the Saginaw Sunset. That is completely gone, never to be seen again, unless my inventory in my computer is really right. And there's a box of it somewhere that I don't know about, because as far as I know, I'm completely sold out, but my inventory says I have like 20 of them. So that's the first one. Like I said, this pattern is, you start with this little triangle and it grows with this basket weave pattern. It looks woven, but it's just knits and purls. That's all it is. And it's knit flat, just seamed at the back, not a big deal. I like the fact that it's done flat because it's easier to block. You can lay it out and really pin it how you want and block it. So that is the first of our custom colors for you guys to see. I realize I'm kind of heavy on the blues the last couple of years. I promise next year we'll change that a little bit. So I'm just so happy with that, you guys. I'm glad you are all interested in it too. That makes me happy. All right, I think that's all I have to talk about tonight. Next week, I will have I'll probably wear my sock arm sweater. So I'll have that yarn to show off to you guys too. I just love the fact that each dyer, this year you can see so far between the two dyers that I've gotten, the Brenda and Heather and Wonderland Yarns, you can see that the inspiration came from the same place based on the color choice they have. But it's just a completely different, yes, Lisa, there are some back there, but that's my personal stash and it's in a different weight. That's a DK weight cashmere yarn for me. Karen, I accidentally almost sold some to somebody one time, but it's not that. I think there's some more somewhere, but yeah, that stuff is tucked on a shelf. Okay, I hope everybody has a safe holiday tomorrow. If you're doing something fun, if you're just hanging out, no judgment. That's probably my plan. Victoria has the day off tomorrow, so we might do something fun. I don't know what, but we probably won't go too far from home. So have a great evening. Have a great 4th tomorrow. And we are open Wednesday, our normal hours. We're open the rest of the week, our normal hours. So nothing changed because of the holiday. If we don't see you in here in the next few days, then I hope we see you next